Thank you.
Great.
Right, what time is it? 6:19 already. Now, I don't know about you, but have you experienced anything of this awful storm? How was your journey in this morning?
Yeah, well, not so bad, all things considered. But I've got friends and family in Wales, in North Wales, where actually some of the pictures we're showing are from today. And it was just, I mean, here, actually, I said my cousin was there filming, not this particular shot, but she was filming this pier yesterday, and saying all the buildings were knocked over. It's grim, it's difficult.
I was driving along the motorway this morning, and there's a raised section as it comes into London, and suddenly there were barriers right across the motorway, and we suddenly had to stop, and a lot of cars around us suddenly had to stop. And you thought, why is there a barrier across the motorway? And it had blown across the motorway. It wasn't meant to be there. And several men got out of the cars and actually physically were trying to push the barriers back against the wind, and it was very, very difficult.
Oh, it's just, and we've got it, let's make no doubt about it, we've got it very easy down here in this part of the country at the moment compared to what's been happening on the West Coast.
Well, yeah. See how it's been bringing trees down? That's probably one of the most dangerous things. And as we know now, the storm has claimed already the lives of 2 men after trees crushed their vehicles during the storm yesterday. And it's not over yet,
No, it's not. 250,000 people were left without power across England, Scotland and Wales as well.
Yeah, the winds reached 96 miles an hour in some places. Hundreds of people left stranded after flights were cancelled, of course, across the country.
Well, let's talk to meteorologist John Hammond. Good to see you again, John. So it was as bad as we were expecting. Is there any good news? I mean, what are we going to see throughout the course of today, particularly for those worst affected areas?
Yeah, well, the good news, Stephen, is that the clear-up will begin today. The worst of the storm is over. It's still blowing like billy-o outside here. I'm in the Chilterns. Actually driving home last night through the windy country roads, a lot of debris, a lot of twigs around. But as you say, that's nothing compared to the impacts further west across the country, where, some places, as you say, the most exposed places reached 96 miles an hour. That wasn't typical. That was on a cliff top. But more typically, where people were out and about, we saw gusts of, 70, 80 miles an hour, and locally more than that. And those sorts of gusts don't come very often. Some places have actually broken their all-time record for highest gust, and those records go back some 20 or 30 years. So that's a measure of how severe this storm was, particularly across Wales and the southwest. But as I say, things are slowly improving. It's still very blustery out there now, and along the east coast, actually, as opposed to the west coast yesterday, along the east coast is where the highest gusts now are. And we're still seeing winds of, 60 miles an hour plus in 1 or 2 places. But for most, it's less than that. And very gradually through the rest of the day, those winds will slowly subside. Still a very blustery day. So I'm not sort of downplaying some minor impacts during the course of today, because some structures will have been weakened by yesterday's storm. So gusts of, 40 or 50, which we're going to see today across many areas, could well dislodge some weakened structures. Maybe some branches could still come down. But the message is that things will gradually ease through the rest of the day as Storm Darragh heads off down through the continent. And actually, there'll be impacts from Darragh through this week across the Mediterranean in the form of some really heavy thundery downpours. So there could be some flooding from Darragh over the next few days down across the Med. But for us, it's a getting better story. Things getting back to normal, the clear-up begins. And actually, through much of this week, things will turn calmer, colder. There will be some impacts from freezing fog, I would imagine, later on this week, particularly across northern areas. But in terms of the wind and the rain, thank goodness, Darragh is on its way out.
Yeah, I won't even ask you about a white Christmas, shall I not?
No.
You just did. You just did, kind of, Anne.
You don't have to answer, of course, but you could.
I'll give it a shot. I mean, it's very unlikely. Surprise, surprise. I mean, the signals are that it will turn colder and calmer over the next week or so. But then in the run-up to Christmas, it could well turn, dare I say it, quite stormy again.
Oh, no.
There's no indications of severe cold heading our direction. But, yeah, it's a long way off Christmas. Yeah. And I'm not going to absolutely stick my neck out and say it won't be a white one. Fingers crossed it will be. But at this stage, I'd probably go for wet rather than white.
Oh, OK. Well, that's very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, I mean, the trouble is...
really cruel,
I know, sorry about that.
It's just every time.
But
In July, you do it? Is it going to be a white Christmas?
no, I don't quite do it in July. Excuse me, mister, I had my decorations up weeks ago.
I know, I've loved it this year.
I didn't manage to get my tree up yesterday.
Oh, didn't you?
Didn't manage to get the decorations up.
I was thinking
just
of
sort of
you.
sat on the sofa, watched the telly and worried about it instead.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but if you've got your tree up, we'd still love some pictures, please. Right, well, the weather is the big news story, I suppose, or certainly one of them at the moment. Let's hope it's getting a bit better. We'll find out from weather journalist Nathan Rao. Good morning, Nathan. Here we go again.
Good morning, Stephen. Hello. Yes, here we are again.
Yet another storm.
Yeah. Storm Darragh has still got a little bit of puff left in him, actually. The worst, thankfully, is over. There is still warnings in place today, right through today, across all of the country, for some very strong ongoing winds and some rain in the northeast of the country. The rain warning expires later this morning, but really for the whole of today, there are still going to be some very, very strong winds. And as we've seen over the weekend, this storm really has packed a punch. It's had tragic consequences in parts of the country, but there's going to be a lot of cleanup because there are still trees coming down, there's still flying debris, and there are still some very, very strong winds coming in today as Storm Darragh sweeps across and makes his exit to the southeast of the country. So a very, very stormy period of weather we've had, and only going to really calm down after today and into the start of next week.
Yeah, well, in terms of that calming down, what's this we hear about it being a sort of frosty week in the week to come?
Yeah, Stephen. Well, I mean, Stephen, I've been on your show quite a few times over the past month, and I've said the same recurring theme, which is we are yo-yoing between bursts of stormy weather and then bursts of colder weather. And that theme is going to continue. After Storm Darragh has finished with us, we're going to move back into a period of high pressure. And as you know, whenever I'm talking about high pressure in winter, that means colder, frostier weather. And that's exactly what we're going to get. Nothing exceptionally out of the ordinary, but after today, high pressure moves in and the temperatures will drop. And we're talking about some colder mornings, frostier mornings, and temperatures down to around -5 in the north, freezing or just above in the south. But with higher pressure, we'll get some clear skies and we might even see some sunshine. Wouldn't that be nice?
Gosh, what's that? Yeah.
I know.
It seems a long time since we did.
Stop teasing us, Nathan. Stop teasing us.
I don't like to tease you, but we're going to go into a bit of a settled period at the start of the week, which I think we'll all be very, very thankful for after this weekend. But then after that, we're back in an Atlantic regime again, and there are some more low pressure systems on the longer term forecasts coming in the run up to Christmas. So while I wouldn't dare to say that we would get another named storm, we are watching for more stormier weather coming back in after the colder, more settled weather. So that pattern of colder, calmer, stormier is going to continue really up until Christmas.
Okay.
Lovely. Thank
Nathan,
you.
thank you very much indeed.